All right, what's up everybody? In today's video, I am going to give you an introduction to micro prepping. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take $100 to Walmart and I'm going to build an intro micro prepping kit. So for those of you guys who I keep hearing from regularly that live in small places, maybe apartments, or you have roommates or whatever it is, I hear this a lot, especially because I put out a large micro prepping stockpile video. And I heard from a lot of people who are like, well, one, I don't really have a lot of money, or two, I don't have a lot of space, and I'm not really sure how I should go about getting started. I'm going to show you today how it's a lot easier than you might think. So I am going to go to the only big box retail place that exists within an hour of my house, because I live out in the middle of the Colorado mountains in the middle of nowhere. But I do happen to have a Walmart that's not that far away. So today what I'm going to do is head into this Walmart with a $100 bill, and I'm going to show you guys how I would go about picking out a starter kit for prepping from my local Walmart. All right, so let's talk very briefly about the rules of engagement for this little exercise. Now, you're probably going to see a lot of things that I pick out maybe aren't the smartest choices, but that's because I'm trying to work under the assumption that I can only shop at this one store to see what kind of a kit I can make out of it. So number one is I can only spend $100. That's it. I can only shop at this one single Walmart to build my kit. I'm going to try to cover at least 4 main survival prep groupings, and that's food, water, health, and protection. All right, and 2 more things. One is I'm going to pretend that I'm building this prepper kit for myself, or basically for one person. Also, any food items that I might pick up should require no cooking or preparation whatsoever. Can we do it? Can we spend this $100 at Walmart and build an effective micro prep, small survival prepping kit? We're gonna find out. Let's go see if we can pull it off, shall we? All right, $100 at Walmart. I didn't find everything that I really wanted, but I'm going to run through all the items that I did pick up just to give you guys an idea. All right, let's start with first aid kit. Now, the reason I chose this first aid kit, it was the most expensive thing that I bought. It was $11. But when I got to looking at it, it had a couple of things in here that I liked, like Neosporin, for example, Band-Aids and all this other stuff. So to price this stuff out individually would have cost a lot more than $11, so that's why I picked this up. Hand sanitizer, $1 a bottle. I got 2 of them. I'm going to give you guys a tip. The travel section is your best friend. I got a small bar of soap. I got a mini deodorant. I think that was like $1. And some other stuff like small thing of toothpaste, a $1 toothbrush, $1 for 40 ibuprofen. That's pretty huge. I actually might have bought a few more of those if I'd had any money left over. I also bought stomach relief tablets. Now, this is important because if you're eating a bunch of weird stuff, or you're potentially drinking some crappy water, you might have some upset stomach or some diarrhea issues. So having this kind of stuff on hand, I think, is really critical. It was a couple of bucks. I don't remember exactly, but for me, this is like just kind of an important thing to have. Another important thing to have is some type of multivitamin. Again, probably one of the more expensive things that I picked up today, but I feel like when you're in a situation where you've got some kind of food insecurity, or you're just maybe eating a bunch of crap that you don't necessarily want to eat, you're definitely not able to eat like fresh produce, having some multivitamins in your starter prepper kit I think is really crucial. Gotta stay clean, so I got some antibacterial wipes, a whole pack of those. 4-pack of candles. Now I chose the candles because they were cheap. Now, I looked at like headlamps and some other types of lighting solutions. The only other thing that I came up with was this $5 flashlight. It's only 125 lumens, so it's not super bright. But if you're hunkered down in your apartment and you just need a good solution for some light if the power is out, $4.67, I think it was, or something like that. So pretty cheap. And then I got an 8-pack of AA batteries for $3 and something that can go power your flashlight. So your flashlight is pretty worthless without some batteries. So there you go, batteries. $1 for a Bic lighter. You need a lighter to light your candles, don't you? Or whatever. So there you go, Bic lighter. I think that's important. Potable aqua. Yes, I know some of you call it potable aqua. You don't have to give me a bunch of grief in the comments. I've been calling it potable aqua for over 20 years. That's what I call it. If you want to call it potable aqua, you can call it whatever the hell you want. They're iodine tablets. How about we just call them that? Iodine tablets. You can treat dirty water with this stuff. You've probably heard me talk about this repeatedly on this channel, but Walmart had this. It was only $8 and something, I think. Yeah, $8.97, so $9. Kind of expensive. But there was no Sawyer Minis in the gear aisle. The only other types of water filtration they had were, you know, $18 to probably $40. So in doing this exercise, I had to come up with a way to treat water in the most affordable way. This was the best thing that I could come up with today at the Walmart. I picked up a kitchen knife. This thing was, I think, $2 and something. Anyways, kind of cheap, but there's a couple uses for this. Obviously for cutting, opening, you know, stuff, opening food, whatever, but it can also be used for protection. Obviously having a knife on hand, you know, if that's your only source of protection is not great. But again, working under the constraints of the $100 budget and what was available at Walmart, best bang for your buck was a good kitchen like steak knife, in my opinion. 4-pack of toilet paper at Walmart is 94 cents. Need I say more? 94 cents. Probably should have got 2 of them. If I'd had a little bit of wiggle room in the budget, I probably would have. Okay, now we're gonna talk about food. Now I know you guys are super passionate about your food, and if there's a comment that I'm gonna get in the comment section, it's gonna be about the food. But please remember the rules that I'm operating under are no cooking required. I'm on a serious budget, and I tried to pick up the best items that I could find for me personally that would work for this starter kit. The first thing I picked up, big box of crackers. To go along with that, 2 cans of refried beans. And I know that sounds weird, but you'll thank me later if you're in a serious emergency situation. 10-pack of oatmeal. Doesn't have to be cooked. You can this is safe to eat. You just water it down and just do it. Like, it's gonna be fine. I think best bang for your buck is a huge bag of trail mix. You've got like M&Ms in there, which are tasty, and all different kinds of raisins and nuts and stuff. Like, this is super hearty, 25 servings at 140 calories each. Like, this is huge. I would put that in there. Pack of peanut butter crackers. You could do the cheese crackers, you could do whatever, but again, for me, it's got some salt, it's got some peanut butter protein, they're tasty, they're easy to carry around, they're individually packaged. I love this stuff. Next up, I got 2 big family-sized boxes of like this Raisin Bran type stuff. I eat this at home actually all the time. It's like super tasty. And some shelf-stable milk to go with it. I mean, you might have to eat cereal every day for like a week until your power comes back on or whatever, but to me, no cooking required. This is a great solution. Another box of honey graham crackers. I just love crackers in general, all different types. They're hearty, they fill me up, they're easy to eat, no cooking required. I would do that. And lastly, what I picked up was a gallon of water. Now, I looked at some water bottles and some little Igloo half-gallon and gallon-sized, water jugs. To fit within the budget, they were just too expensive. They were anywhere from $8 to $15. So to me, it wasn't worth picking those up. I got a jug of water for I think 90-something cents. And the great thing about this is, first of all, it's a gallon of water. The Igloo jugs did not have any water in them, so that might seem weird. But to start off with a fresh gallon of water, huge. Plus, this thing can be refilled. If it starts to get low, you just keep refilling it. Like, there's no reason to spend 15 bucks in this scenario on a really expensive water container when you can just do it like this. All right, so if I did my math correctly, that's 30 items. 30 items in a starter prepper kit from Walmart for $98.58. So we covered a reasonable amount of food that doesn't require any type of cooking. A little bit of security if you look at the size of the knife that I bought, which is, multifunction, but could be used for security. Oh, I failed to mention that I also looked at like some pepper spray and a couple other little things that they had that could potentially be used for protection, but the cheapest baseball bat I could find was like $24, so that wasn't going to work. And I think the pepper spray was like around 10 bucks. So for this particular exercise, they weren't budget friendly. So this is the only thing I could come up with. As far as health and safety is concerned, a great starter first aid kit, hand sanitizers, critical, some basic pain and stomach medications are also really important. Multivitamins, again, like I said before, they're just, to me, they're super important to have on hand. And then some basic stuff like candles, lighter, a good flashlight, and some toilet paper. I'm making this video today because I did a huge micro prepping video where I did a stockpile of 60 days worth of food for 2 people. And I heard from so many of you about how you're on a fixed income, or maybe you're a single parent and you're just living on a shoestring budget or whatever it is. I can relate to some of that because that's the way I started prepping many years ago. I wanted to show you guys today that it's a lot easier than you think. I give people advice all the time about how if you're really just starting out, all you got to do is every time you go to the grocery store, just grab a can of beans or a little jar of peanut butter or something that you can just put on the in the back of your shelf and just hold on to it for, for in case an SHTF type of situation happens or you find yourself in an emergency. I hope that I've shown you today that it is possible to take $100 and buy 30 items that will cover you from food to water safety to emergency gear and first aid and all that kind of stuff.